I'm Alexis Ohanian. I've started startups, invested in them, and met amazing people using the internet to change the world. Our generation has an opportunity unlike any other. We can create small empires without anyone's permission. Back in 2003, online dating was anything but normal. 4 guys with math degrees decided they want to build a platform that was not only going to bring online dating mainstream, but also make it totally free. So here we are at the nexus of Penn Station, Koreatown, and Flatiron to meet OkCupid.
OkCupid is a dating site. It's probably, at this point, one of the 2 or 3 biggest in the English-speaking world. Unprovable, because dating sites like to lie about themselves, like daters. We started OkCupid in 2003, went live in 2004, and Match.com bought us in January of 2011. So it was like, definitely not a hockey stick. Yeah. It's like a hockey stick on its side, laying on the floor.
So you guys have had quite the interesting trajectory. It was OkCupid and dating, but before that, the Spark.
Yeah, the Spark. The Spark was really the way to get people to notice SparkNotes, which were, the free study guides. So the Spark was full of like stupid jokes and tests and all kinds of garbage that we thought people would forward to their friends. When they got done with it, they would be like, well, now what do I do? And they'd see that they are about to fail Hamlet, and hello, we have Hamlet here for you to read. So it was kind of a long play that also worked out. And we sold that to Barnes & Noble in 2001, because they wanted SparkNotes to put in the stores.
Real quick.
Yes.
So they wanted to take SparkNotes, a website that was an alternative to CliffsNotes, which was the Dead Tree books, and put it in stores.
Yes, and they've more or less neglected the website half. So in the like 12 years that it's been, we all left shortly after, like 2002. So, yeah, it wasn't the awesomest plan, for sure.
CliffsNotes was that got me through, God, those little yellow books got me through a ton of my history classes, a ton of my English classes rather, in high school. But it seemed like, hey, the internet, it's this place full of knowledge that people should be able to access freely.
Right.
Did you just look at this and say, this seems really inefficient? And
yeah, again, like I wasn't the person who thought of the idea for sure, so I don't want to make sure not to claim credit where it's not due. But yeah, the thinking was for sure, like we take something that we see people charging for and do a better version for free. Which, when we were starting OkCupid, was a similar type of mindset.
With a tiny office and just 18 self-proclaimed dorky dudes running the place, OkCupid has somehow catapulted itself from obscurity to near dominance in the online dating world, boasting more than 7 million users.
When you look at the founding team behind OkCupid, a lot of math nerds.
Yeah, I think all 4 of us were math majors.
Yeah. Now, how that clearly had a lot to do with its success.
It definitely, yes, it did. Yeah, it did.
When you're talking about building that algorithm that actually matches people in a way that's smarter than you're 24, I'm 24, let's get together.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff were you thinking about? Because were there any peers to look to for inspiration or motivation?
Not really. We kind of just invented it from scratch by asking sort of, plain English questions to ourselves, like, how do you decide if you like someone? And trying to codify that into a formula. And that was a process. My co-founder, Chris Coyne, actually did most of the deep thinking there.
And then if I remember correctly, it has been a little while since I've been on OkCupid. There's a percent of match and a percent of enemy.
Yeah.
How often do you hear those high percent enemy stories working out successfully?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Very rarely.
All right, so it is actually working pretty well.
Yeah. The site definitely works. I'm not going to sit here and say we've figured out love. I think that's sort of like.
That would be a bold statement, but I'd love for you to announce that on the show.
The thing is that, some sites do say this kind of thing of like, we will find you the person that you're going to get married to or whatever. Our take from the beginning was always like, we just want you to get you to the point of where you're having coffee or a drink with somebody. We don't care about what happens after that is just up to you. There's chemistry, there's all those million other things, how drunk you are, whatever, as to what is going to go on with your relationship at that point. We just want to get you to that first date. And so kind of like having a sort of humbler goal helped us be more effective at reaching that lower bar.
Everybody has their own version of the sites. So like here's, there we go. Everybody has a full version of the site with fake user data. It all looks.
That Abraham Lincoln with a mohawk?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One thing that's awesome about our team that's different from other sites that are kind of this big is we have no QA. We are just
Just we'll do it live.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
pushing code.
Absolutely, and then we'll check our errors.
Yeah.
See, make
Seriously?
Sure that, oh, absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah. Over here is kind of our.
They almost look like, I don't know what they look like. Mini sauna shed thing.
But basically they're individual meeting rooms and phone call rooms, and one of them has a VTC in them. They all have phones. They have very dim lighting. But the idea is that
Setting
it would
the mood. That's important.
allow for us to have a place of a little bit of privacy, a little bit of sound barrier, and then with the bigger ones have kind of a meeting space.
Okay.
And as you'll see, now we play Super Smash Brothers and guitar in it.
What are these devices called?
I've never used one in the office, but they're phones.
So let's say you now, it's years in. You have these mountains of data. And you were then able to look at that and draw some really interesting conclusions. Some very captivating conclusions on the blog. Where did the impetus for that all come from?
Well, it doesn't take long to run any big website, let alone a dating website, to realize that people are pretty crazy and a lot of wild stuff is going on in your site, on your servers or whatever. And so that was always there in the back of our minds. And the question was, well, what can we do with this stuff? Like, a lot of it you can't use, like the fact that the least black band ever is Belle and Sebastian, or that like women and men have these different words to describe themselves, or all this is like unactionable or whatever, to use a business word, but it's interesting. And so we were like, well, all right, well, what are we gonna do with this stuff? We were a free site. As a free site, you need, Reddit knows, I'm sure better than anybody, you need an ass load of users to make even a small amount of money. So it was mid-2009 at this point. We need more users, and like, we'll try to use this stuff as PR.
There was a survey that the online dating site OkCupid conducted.
OkCupid. OkCupid.com.
OkCupid.com. Portland, Oregon, most promiscuous. Then we have Seattle, Pittsburgh. Really?
Portland and Seattle took the top spots, with Pittsburgh and Miami each edging out San Francisco.
What's been your favorite one of those pieces?
I really like, I like the best questions to ask on a first date, because it's like actually practical. These are questions that you can just ask casually that indicate deeper things that you're much more interested in. So like, if you want to figure out whether somebody's going to sleep with you on the first date, maybe, the thing that correlates most to that's a casual question is, do you like the taste of beer? So you can kind of bring that up, see what they say, and then you at least have some sort of prior on how it's going to go.
And there's data behind this.
Sure. Yeah. What I did for that is, we have 2 billion or something questions that have been answered, and so answers to questions, sorry. So that's 2 billion answers on 4,000 questions, so it's very dense amount of answers per question. So you look at the cross correlations, and then we've tied those back to outcomes like, are you going to be together for a long time, and all of this kind of thing, like real observed outcomes. And the sleeping with one is probably the most practical. I like that one. I like the ones we've done on like race and how the races interact, but everybody else doesn't like those, I don't think, because they're too sad.
It's interesting because we've never really been able to take an analytical approach to this, because we haven't had this much data that's like this honest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, it's amazing because you get to like watch people act while they think that no one is watching. You know what I mean? So like, people are doing this stuff or whatever on their phone or on their laptop in their bedroom, never even considering the ramifications that it can be analyzed later. Yeah. So like, if people act in like a weird racist pattern or in a weird horny pattern or just do whatever, they're doing it honestly, not motivatedly, like they might in a lab or on a survey or something. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Do you think math geeks and specifically statisticians are having a moment right now? Some of that's Nate Silver, some of that's probably OkCupid Trends blog.
I mean, Nate Silver, his results are undeniable, so I have nothing bad to say about that whatsoever. I feel like, to answer your question is yes, I feel like a lot of it is pretty overblown. I've spent a lot of time with a wide variety of social data at this point, especially working on the book and future blog posts and stuff. But like, it's often with this data, there's like a human-shaped hole in the middle of it all. Like most sites like Twitter, it's an amazing platform for disseminating information, but they don't ask you if you're a man or a woman when you sign up, or your age, or how tall you are, or your orientation, or your ethnicity, or any of the million things that we have on everybody. So like, you can find out how information flies back and forth, but the deeper questions of like, who is sharing what, Twitter is a hard place to figure that kind of thing out. So the media story of like stats and big data and all that stuff, I feel like is kind of overblown a little bit. That's my 2 cents.
Wow. All right. Well, a lot of angry statisticians are going to be shaking their fist.
That's okay. They're not very strong usually. So
we're here in Sunnyside, Queens to meet an actual couple that actually met on OkCupid. Because as hard as the team over there works to get all the math and all the data and all the statistics right, it all comes down to chemistry. You two met on OkCupid.
That's right. I sure did.
Oh boy. All right. So how did it get to this?
I didn't like going to the bars. I didn't like being set up on blind dates, really. And then I even tried speed dating. And then the one that I randomly selected was a total scam.
Wow.
So they just charged your card and totally nobody showed up except a few other guys were there, but the hosts weren't there. So it was just one of those that was like, I need to try something different, a different website. Without being sappy, Justin really just came out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
OkCupid had this selection process where you could star who you wanted to get to know better. And we both had rated each other very high. So then OkCupid messages you and says, you have connection. He was in Poughkeepsie, which is not New York City. But me not being from New York, I really didn't know where Poughkeepsie was, so I had to quick Google it. And
So who messaged whom first?
I did.
Okay.
And it was
Because I had rated him. He's got the
Right.
Yeah.
notification that I gave him. Like
I
5
think the
stars or
first
something.
message
Very
was
nice.
just an instant message that said Poughkeepsie ? And I think that was
Yeah, so it was just like
after I Googled it, I said, what's this about? And then I think he responded and was like, yes. And then we just chatted. And this is how you know it was an instant connection. Every day for 3 weeks, we talked to each other, either by chat, on the phone. And after that 3 weeks, it was like, okay, you're not a serial killer. Let's meet in person. I actually told my mom, I'm going to meet this guy I met online. And she's like, baby, you have to be careful. It's online dating and you really don't know the person. And I'm like, Mom, it's not the 90s. It's not the early 2000s. It's fine. It's safe. It's New York City. It's not like we're going some sketchy town or anything, It's
Poughkeepsie.
It's not like we're going to Poughkeepsie, Mom. It's okay.
I told him to meet us in New York City.
Yeah.
Safer, much safer. We went out to dinner. We went for a long walk. It was raining, and we shared an umbrella, so it's cute.
Very.
Very first datey.
I love this. This is like a rom-com right here.
Yeah.
Here's one thing that's memorable is that I don't know how you want to say it, but our candle wasn't lit. They gave us a table without a lit candle. So I asked Justin, I was like, can you get us one from the other table? And he was like, really? And I was like, please. And then he was like, okay. So we did it. And I was like, all right, he'll do things for me.
Do you genuinely believe now that there are people who, because of OkCupid, have found love or found a great relationship that they would not have been able to find?
Oh, that's an incontrovertible fact.
Yeah.
I mean, we set up like 40,000 dates a day, like first dates. So we have this like extreme niche like menu item, like 10 pages deep, where you can tell us if you disable your account and if you come back to us and you put in a name of the other person you're dating. Like 300 couples a day go through and bother to go through this like crazy ass chain, saying that they're in a long-term relationship with someone from OkCupid. So the real number is probably like 3,000. I mean, you know how the attrition goes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like, 100%, yeah. I mean, there's people in this office that married the people they met on OkCupid.
Congrats.
Yeah, and have kids from it. And some of my friends, or especially like a lot of my acquaintances, have kids with people they've met from OkCupid. And like because of things like Facebook, and also just because life is busy, they never would have met those people otherwise. They might have met someone else that's also great, but we made it easier and hopefully better.
Every single stat that we record, it's meaningful, and there's a lot at stake emotionally. So you can make somebody feel very good, you can make somebody feel bad.
The hugely popular dating website OkCupid is under fire right now. The site allowing users to pay to filter out potential dates based on body type. I
don't know if the start of the process is when you do that.
There have been quite a few naysayers for quite some time now who have said, you know, the internet is making us more dislocated than ever. We're having less and less human contact, et cetera, et cetera. Are you guys making a conscious effort now to actually, I mean, you've said it yourself now, bring people together sooner?
Yeah.
Do you think long-term sites like OkCupid are actually going to make us more social in the physical sense?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I think that is the paradox that many people have noted, that the internet is supposed to connect us, but actually it disconnects everybody because you're sitting there with your phone or whatever, right? And like, you know, for a site like Facebook, it like replaces like having a conversation sometimes, or GChat. Whereas with OkCupid, it's meant to increase the amount of that stuff. That's really all we're trying to do. We don't like it when people sit and have 20 message threads going, oh, whatever, you know, like that's not good for anybody really. So like, I think that's part of the reason OkCupid and Match.com, we're like thriving, even though there's all these other ways to connect. And it's mostly because those ways also disconnect you a little bit, and we're alternatives to actually get you together with someone else.
It seems like every single website that's out there, startup, is for making things easier to do by yourself. Everything's supposed to automate this. Everything's e-commerce. It's online. I don't have to go to a store. I don't have to talk to anybody. Everything's automated. Everything will be just delivered. Well, this is actually connecting to people. People get to meet because of this. Hopefully in real life. That's our goal.
There are plenty of websites that people use every day. Not a lot of websites that actually lead to people getting married and falling in love and having kids. What does that feel like?
I mean, it's awesome. I think it's a big reason that all of us come to work every day, on time at least. You know, maybe people would drag their ass in at 10:30 otherwise. Yeah, it's really cool to be doing something in tech that isn't about selling Pringles to people who have tweeted about Pringles, or about serving ads more efficiently, or about whatever, any of the million boring ass startups that there are that are totally great services that people love or whatever. Like, this is, not that we're not trying to make money and we make money, but you know, no harm comes of OkCupid. You know, it's like people meet, they fall in love, they meet, whatever, they go on another date. It's like all of that stuff, it's generating like the best thing that you can make.
All right, there's the stage where, you know, you talk about love and being in love, and then I guess at some point there's the OkCupid profile shutdown. How soon after you guys started dating did you shut down your profiles, and was there like a ceremony? Did you do it together? What happened?
Well, we discussed it.
There's a big discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, we just talked about it, and we're like, you know, he was like, I'm really happy, and I was like, yeah, I'm really happy, and you know, let's make this official. It was like kind of our official thing. That's like our anniversary, and like we had a really like nice dinner, and we went to the waterfront over on Long Island City. It was February. It was very warm, very nice.
So looking out over Manhattan,
Over
and you
the
had the talk.
skyline, and then we were like, you know what, you're the one, and it's time to deactivate the profile.
What do you think about the fact that if your site is successful, that is, if you can match two users who want to be together well, they will then not be users of the site anymore?
Yeah,
is that a real problem in dating sites?
No, it's not a real problem at all.
Why is that not a real problem?
Well, I mean, it's a thing that keeps us from, no matter what happens, OkCupid will never be as big as Facebook. No matter, we're the most genius,
with
omniscient.
that attitude.
Right, no, but it's just not possible for that exact reason. So it limits the absolute top end, but until you get there, having two people, even forget them leaving the site, having someone walk out the door, say, have their roommate ask, hey, what are you doing tonight? Where are you going? Oh, I'm going on a date on this dating site, OkCupid, blah, blah, blah. Have that exchange, sit on the couch. How would your date go? Get it in the guy's mind. That's great. The best thing that could possibly happen is two people get married. Every fool at their wedding knows that they met on OkCupid. That's 300 people or whatever there. Yeah. It's like, that is definitely that's one of those like non-existent problem. I mean, it's a thing, but we sincerely would love it if more people would find love or whatever they're looking for via OkCupid. Definitely being free and removing the money equation from dating, it was amazing. It definitely frees you up to be more loose about it and more human, like you say. So we always try to push it that way as much as possible. Keep things light in the copy, keep things open in the interface, and also keep the platform open where like we weren't shunting people into marriage. It wasn't just like JDate for one specific type of person. It was for everybody, for whatever you wanted. You wanted to hook up, you wanted to date kind of casually, you wanted to find someone long term, you wanted to get married. We set it so that you could make it do any of those things or all of those things for you. And that creates another, again, like just like a lower barrier to getting people to just do something because they can determine their goal.
As we said, Justin lived in Poughkeepsie, and I had never been before, so on my first train ride, I started to take a couple of photos on the train ride up. And then every time I took the train ride up to see him, I would take a couple more photos, and these are all just shot on my iPhone.
You have set the bar so high for me and for everyone else watching this, so I kind of hate you for it. But this is amazing.
Our first Christmas together, I wanted to make him something special. And so I drew a picture of the view from his apartment in Long Island City. And then, of course, Grand Central, where we met.
I was shocked. This was like one of the best things I'd ever gotten. I loved it. Still love it.
I'm glad you love it.
Wow, this is just not even fair, really. Just not fair. That's so awesome. And it started with a little OkCupid message.
Yeah,
right?
that's all. Yeah.
Poughkeepsie question mark?
Poughkeepsie question mark. In this age of social networks and increased connectivity, we're oftentimes feeling lonelier than ever. What's made OkCupid so successful, in spite of an acquisition, is that no one has lost sight of the mission. The knowledge that if they do their job right and build the right kind of software, a simple one-word message can turn into a beautiful relationship.
It's an OkCupid.com poll. They said that Wednesday nights are when most people get a little, they visit Poughkeepsie. And a lot of you want to know what that means. That means you have a good time in Poughkeepsie.